call me cynical, but I think every single company and every single product eventually becomes disrupted because
Let's hope.
they become comfortable, right? I'll never forget about 6 years ago, Jeff Bezos goes on an investor call and says, yes, in 30 years, Amazon will not exist anymore, or some quote like that, right? Saying, I don't know if he's trying to scare his employees or just his stock price, but it's everything gets disrupted, right? FedEx, I mean, the dominant, overnight carrier, as we see what Amazon has built. Now, one of the questions is there is a situation where a company, a for-profit company with a great leader, motivated employees, just do a better job, and they can reinvest, and they can, as a meritocracy, just continue to increase their capabilities. And yeah, you don't, I mean, there's a difference between monopolistic behavior and being a monopoly, right? If you have the
For sure.
best product in the world and everyone loves it, and guess what? You've got 99% market share. Um, is that a monopolistic behavior, or is it a monopoly, or are you just providing a fantastic product and service
This is the tricky question before the courts on a number of topics, including
right
in
now? Yeah.
search. Right? It's a great product. So I mean that's I guess for as we evolve our monopoly laws for us to figure out ultimately what you want from antitrust regulation is competition and the opportunity for people to come in and disrupt.
Sure.
And so, and that's where I don't think you're being cynical. I think you're being hopeful when you say ultimately every company is going to
No,
be disrupted.
I believe it because every company gets fat, dumb, and happy to some degree. And new technologies constantly, I mean, that's the laws of physics or technology. We just have constant, we're in a super exponential period. And yeah, I'd say the day before something is truly a breakthrough, it's a crazy idea. And we get disrupted by crazy ideas that a company that's reporting on a quarterly basis is unwilling to take. But some entrepreneur someplace is willing to, they have nothing to lose. So we'll take the bet. And, oh my God, that's incredible.
Well, probably maybe 5 or 10 years before, not the day before, and that it takes OpenAI from 2015 to.
Yeah.
But I think your point is right. One of the things I want to pull at, and it goes back to a question I didn't answer earlier, but also on this, like companies are going to want to grow in this way, is there also is a question of disruption to what end, right? So some people will come in and disrupt because they've got a great idea, they want to build a company, and like capitalism and companies are great at solving certain problems and creating public good and even public goods, things that are shared in common, contributing to Linux, all that stuff. But there also are things to your question of like not starting a nonprofit. The companies are just never going to be good at. And so that's where when we talk about public AI as a counterpoint, I don't think that a company is ever going to be good at what has happened with Linux, which is a collective public good that all the companies who build on it and researchers and everybody, governments build on top of. And for all it's a pain in the ass that Linux Foundation struggles with getting enough members, that is a form of social organization that lends itself to being an independent third party. And unless you want to get rid of governments altogether, I mean that's another form of social innovation that has a
I
role.
would
So I
call
think
myself a libertarian capitalist. So that's where I bend towards.
yeah, and I'm an old punk anarchist, and so sometimes we'll have some common cause there. But I think the thing is, what social forms of social organization are helpful to what innovation and accelerating what innovation. So, are we happy that in addition to NBC, ABC, CBS, we also had PBS in the broadcast era? I think it took on a role that the commercial players were never going to take on. And so, to me, the question at any point,
But
including at this
innovate,
point,
but innovation comes in, and YouTube comes online,
great.
and
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 then
and
you
it,
don't
it
need PBS or BBC or
yeah,
CBS
exactly.
or
And so
right.
when we have a government formed um, uh, provider, right? I would rather have complete and total open access for anybody to provide whatever they want.
But that comes later in the process. And I think the question to always be asking is, what's not going to happen if you just leave it to the
Sure.
market?
I think that's a very fair and a very important question for humanity's benefit.